Not sure if anybody else is there. Looks like there's 3 viewers. Unfortunately, I'm not 100% sure on how this program works, so wait the 3 minutes, and hopefully other people will show up as well. It's the final countdown. 1 minute. Okay, well, it's 4 o'clock, so I might as well go ahead and kick this off. I'm EVAkura, aka Phil Schinner. You may know me from the 405th, or may know me from watching my YouTube videos I've made. What I kind of wanted to go over today is some one-on-one with people. Hopefully, you guys see the chat window there. Ask questions. At the same time, I'm also going to go ahead and start working on the Master Chief from Halo 4 torso. Got some things I've already done, and kind of doing a little bit of a unique way of doing things here, because I've never done this before as far as to the level I want to take this today. So what usually happens is when I'm creating a piece in EVA, what I'll do is I'll try to make as few cuts as I possibly can and try to bend the foam by making incisions on the back side. Usually I'll end up making maybe 2 or 3 to make compound curves or something like that, but never before have I actually tried to do what I'm going to do today, and that is trying to make one solid piece, one solid portion out of one piece of EVA, or possibly 2 or 3 actually, looks like. But what I've done here is for the back portion, basically I guess people refer to them as the jetpacks. On the jetpack, I've taken 25 pieces that would be cut out via the EVAkura file. They call for 25 pieces. I've knocked it down to 5. So this being one of the pieces right here, and you can see, hopefully, the light on that, all the lines I've created in the EVA. That would be, each one of these lines would be a separate individual piece that they'd want you to cut out. So I'm altering the EVAkura file as much as I possibly can to tailor towards the way I want to build this. And so first thing I want to do and kind of cover is going over the EVAkura file, looking at the item that you want to take and you ultimately want to build it, you're going to want to have, like I said, as few cuts as possible. So what I've done here is I cut out each individual piece of what they call for in the file, and then I puzzle it together to see what I can actually make as one piece. So in front of me, I'm going to tilt the camera down. I've got to turn off this light here. There. Okay, so what we have here is all the individual pieces that I've transposed onto this piece of EVA. And I've made it, I've numbered each of them. You might be able to see a little bit better this way right here. I've numbered each piece, and then the corresponding piece that it would attach to, I've also numbered it on there, just for ease of use later on. Now I've got them all laid out, and then what I did is I puzzled them onto my original foam mat that I have here. And let's see if I can get the light right. And you can see I've got the next piece already drawn out, all on one piece of EVA. And then I go through, set it down, and cut it out onto the actual mat itself. Now what I'll do is, instead of cutting every single little piece, I'm going to take it and flip it over and make the 45-degree V incisions in the back, and then basically fold the EVA over, and I should have a nice, clean, crisp 90-degree angle when that's done, or whatever it calls for according to the EVAkura file, without having a seam that I'd have to glue. Now, here's the other thing about this is, if I did screw up, or if I need to actually separate a piece because it's not lining up properly, the nice part about that is that I have the original size pieces already drawn out onto my EVA. So if I had to make a cut, the good thing about that is I don't have two separate cuts that I would normally have if I were just taking a raw piece out of EVA. I have one single cut that the two pieces will now join up perfectly. So regardless of that whole effect, that would work out great. Now, one thing I've seen, and I guess I didn't explain it properly, was when I was doing this, is I think people were taking this idea and then cutting out each individual piece and then gluing them together without making at least a 45-degree incision in the backside of the EVA. And unfortunately, that will lead to a not so great seam. So, and I'm also, I forgot the username. I wish I would remember the username from the 405th that brought up the idea of using packing tape on the good side of the EVA as a block for the glue. I'm going to attempt doing that today. I haven't done that yet, and I want to see how that works out. So kudos to that person for coming up with that idea, because that was brilliant. Creating a glueless seam on the good side of your EVA is not an easy task by any means. It doesn't matter how good your glue gun is. Now, before I go too far into this, I want to kind of go over a couple of tools that I personally use. I've said it before on my threads, but I think it's so important to go over. When you're cutting EVA, new knives, new blades are a must. I've been doing this since October, but out of 100 of these really cheap box cutter blades, I've got maybe 7 or 8 left. So today went out and bought another 100. I go through them pretty quick, and I actually try to make them last a little bit longer than I should sometimes. Another thing that I use, now these, I'll just go over this really quick. With these blades, I use these not for cutting out the EVA itself from the mat. I use these for the incisions on the back of the EVA. I get a much closer hand to the EVA, and the closer your hand is, the better control you're going to have, because you can actually run your hand on the EVA as opposed to having your hand away from the EVA and trying to cut a depth without poking through the other side or just not cutting it deep enough. So these little box cutter blades, worth their weight in gold. Another tool on the blade line is surgical scalpel. It's a number 3 handle in number 11 blades. You can buy a pack of 11 blades like this right here. think it was like $13 for 100 of them. Once again, worth their weight in gold. They're easily replaceable. Just snap it off, snap it right back on. It's almost identical to an X-Acto. In fact, I think the blade is identical. I'd have to actually check it out with one of my X-Acto handles. The downside about an X-Acto handle is that it has a barrel, and that barrel handle that it has doesn't give you the greatest ability to keep your blade set exactly where you want it. And so what happens is you end up getting a roll. And I don't know if you've ever done this before, but as you're cutting, if you start rolling, your angle is not going to be consistent. It's going to be a 45, a 50, then it's going to roll back over to a 37 or something like that, and you're never going to be able to join your pieces up really consistently that way. So having a nice thin handle like this gives you that ability to keep it exactly where you want it. Another tool that I came up with, this is kind of out there, but when you're working on things like, let me tilt the camera right back up really quick here. When you're working on things like an arm piece and you're putting glue on the inside of it, obviously you're joining your final seam together, you don't want globs of glue. You really don't want the globs of glue on the inside, because I mean that's going to catch every single time you put your arm through it. So what I devised is this little tool right here. This is just a Dremel bit tip, one of the stone Dremel bit tips. And what I do is, after I just glob the glue inside the arm to join the seam, I'm holding the seam, and then what I'll do is I'll use this little tool right here, and I'll smooth that seam. And the nice part is I can go way deep with it. So I'll just go inside and just pull this back, pull that glue, and it leaves a really nice rounded edge to that glue as I pull it back. Now what happens sometimes is you're holding that seam and the glue gets cold. Well, the nice part about this is, once again, it's a stone tip. So I can sit there and I can heat up the stone tip with one of my torches, get it nice and warm again, and just not too hot to where I'm going to melt the EVA, of course, but get it nice and warm to where it's going to melt the glue, and just pull it right back and it'll do the same thing. So just a really quick tool I made. Thought of that one. Kind of off subject really quick also. Wanted to show you guys, I'm so happy about this. Radio Shack has these little recording module. I'm going to be adding sound effect to the binary rifle, so it's $12. Couldn't pass that up. 30 seconds recorded sound, and so now it's going to actually have a soundboard attached to it. For $12, couldn't pass that one up. Another thing is I'm using my glue gun. Now, generally, your cordless glue guns, their charge on them, from what I've looked at, 5 minutes, maybe 10 on a charge. That's just not good enough for what we use when we're doing our EVA work. We need it to last quite a while. Most people just use electric ones and leave them on the whole time. This is a butane-powered one, so I don't have to deal with any of the cords. It's a little bit more bulky. That's the downside to it. I do have an electric one if I do need to get the smaller one in there. But this is so worth it. You know, you can pick up your canisters of butane, and this will give me a lot of time right here. This will probably give me a couple hours worth of, at least a couple hours, more like 6 hours, 7 hours worth of use out of my glue gun. Another thing I found out today was with glue sticks. Multi-temp glue sticks, in my opinion, a no-no. Not going to ever use them again. Low temp, no, neither on that. High temp only, they're a little bit more hard to find. I have only found them in one place in my area. Granted, I live on an island in the Pacific Northwest, so I don't have that many options as far as finding places to find glue sticks, but I only go with the high temp glue for some reason. I tried using the multi-temp, and it just makes a mess everywhere. The seams weren't holding, pieces were falling apart, and so I don't know if it was just old glue that I'd found, or if it's just the fact that it is indeed multi-purpose or a multi-temp glue. So with that being said, wait, one more thing, Dremel. If you don't have one, and you want to work with EVA, in my opinion, you got to have one. It's an absolute tool. Not just EVA, pretty much EVAkura all the way across the board. Dremels, I use basically 3 tips. I've got this stone cone, And that is for, a lot of times what I'll use this for is smoothing out, if I have a rough cut, smoothing out the rough edge on my EVA. It won't bite into the EVA like a sanding barrel will, but it does smooth it out, and it almost brings up the same surface as this right here. It's almost identical. So these little stone tips, they come in different various grits. Get the smoothest one you can, like a 220. That'll be the one you want to go with. When you want something a little bit more aggressive, go with the barrel sanding, barrel sanders. I think I picked up, what is it? Yeah, 120 grit. You don't want something too much. Obviously, you don't want to bite in too much. But 120 grit is great. And also, another thing is, when you're using any tool or any of the tips in your Dremel, remember that it's going to skip from left to right. So what I'll do is I'll let it skip. I'll just let it run its course, and that way it won't bite too much. But sometimes you actually need to bring down an area or something like that. What you'll want to do is, like, if I were working on this little area right here with my Dremel, I would start on the left, and I'd only bring it to halfway point on the right. And then I'd flip it around, and I'd do the exact same thing on the other side. The reason being is because once you hit this edge right here, that Dremel is going to want to flip around on you. And there is pretty much no way you're going to be able to control it. The EVA will flip or the Dremel will flip, one of the two. And what you'll end up doing is getting, even on some of my nicer pieces, I've got a couple of skid marks where it's gone across my EVA. And I just kind of let it, okay, it's battle damage now. Can't go past that point. So that, and then the third tip I will use is for my detail. And that's this little rasp bit right here. I don't know if you can see that too well. Try to get it up in the camera the best I can. It's a little metal tip. It's got little grooves cut into it. And that little tool right there is when I want to do detail lines. When I'm not doing just with the razor blade, cutting out the small V and using my heat gun past that point. So speaking of heat gun, another awesome tool to have, obviously, if you want to bend, if you want to get that shiny surface on your EVA, you're going to have a heat gun. I'm not going to go too much into that, other than the fact that I've got one here that has dual setting. I only use it on low. I never turn it on high. There's no reason to go to high. So it just blows the pieces everywhere and also get too hot. So on low, I have to be a little bit more patient, but it's definitely worth it going a little bit slower and making sure that your part comes out right. So heat gun, definitely got to have one of these if you want to mold your EVA. So past that point, what I have here is I've kind of done the food show network kind of thing where multiple items are already done up. Oh yeah, here's, you just add this and this and this. Oh look, and put it in the oven, and they pull another one out of the oven. And you're sitting there going, I'm trying to keep up with you. How the hell is this supposed to happen? Anyways, so I've kind of done that. I already have the pieces all drawn out. It all consists on 4 pieces of EVA, and I'm only going to do a certain amount tonight because, unfortunately, I was hoping to see other people on the screen or have some questions posted up there I can answer really quick, but that's not happening. I don't know the limitations of this software that I'm using, so I'm just going to kind of deal with that. Anyways, so I've already cut this one out. I've got the lines already drawn on the front side. That was just for reference. So I make sure that my pieces that I had already cut out from the cardstock were transposed on there, and I could actually draw my piece out. Now what I've done is on the back side, I've transposed those exact same pieces with those lines because I know that every single one of these lines is going to be a crease on my EVA. So with that being said, I'm going to turn the camera back down again, and I'm going to start the process of, hopefully it's not too bright, cutting in these lines. Now once again I said I use the box cutter blades only for this. I never use my scalpel because I can't control the depth of the cuts. So what I'll do, and this is a sharp blade, I love it. I use my hand as a depth guide, and I just will slide it right across. Now this EVA that I'm using too is brand new to me, and it was supposed to be 3/8 of an inch. It's not. It is, what is it, 5/16. So it's a 1/16 inch less. Now, it doesn't sound like a lot, But when you're used to a certain size of EVA and have been doing it all along, you kind of get used to that. So it's something I'm going to have to get used to myself. So okay, I've done my first incision here. Now I know by looking at this file, I'm running two computers here for this, but I know that this piece is going to have to bend more than what I have it right now. So in fact, this piece right here, it's going to be about right there. But I don't want that rounded curve. I want a nice sharp curve. So I need to take that down further. Now, I'll never take it all the way the very first time. I've got to work it there. So what I'll do is I'll go on the outside of my cut, and I'll make that gap a little bit wider on the first one. And then on the second cut, I'll take my hand and put it on the back side of the EVA, and I'll just cut back this way. Now, the reason why I'm putting my hand on the back side of the EVA and I'm running my finger where the blade is I can feel the depth. And so I'm not worried about cutting myself. I'm not worried about going too far because I'm not taking it too fast. I'm not like in a speed rush to finish this as quickly as possible. So obviously I want to be safe about it. But the same token, I don't want to cut through my EVA. Not at all. So now I'm starting to get a little bit deeper. I can start feeling the blade down in depth-wise. And that's a little bit better on the curve now, on this angle. I also know that the heat gun is going to help out with this angle, as well as the hot glue. When the hot glue gets in there, it's definitely going to allow this to push down a lot sharper than what it is right now. So don't depend on your blade making the only angle that you want to. Also allow the heat gun and the glue gun to do its job. So if you guys can, or one of you, please, I would really appreciate it, just posting something up on the chat so that I know that it works. Anything, hello, hi, how are you, screw yourself, anything. If not, then I just assume that it's not functioning properly. I don't see anything popping up there, so I'm going to assume that it is not functioning properly. So I'm going to have to write this one. So actually, give me 1 second. Let me look at this system here and see if there's something I can do to activate it. Oh, I just closed it. That's all I did. Okay, so I'm just going to assume that for whatever reason it is not functioning. Not sure why, but it is what it is. So I can't control that, unfortunately. So I'm just going to continue on. Hopefully what I'll end up with, I wish, like I said, I wish there could be questions done on this because I'd love for you guys to be able to ask questions like how do I do this, or what is my ultimate goal in life? What's my favorite color? this silent here. Really excited about that soundboard for the binary rifle. Just wish I could get one in the MH6 pistol. It'd be awesome. I'm also, another thing I'm thinking about doing is I'm going to attempt making the Rogue helmet in foam as well. That doesn't mean I'm going to leave what I've got going on with the EVAkura / epoxy Bondo. Definitely want to finish that one out because I hate leaving behind a project. But I want to see if it's possible how close I can get to replicating the Rogue helmet in foam. I think that'd be a really cool idea to see how that comes out. So I think what I've done here is I've got, let me do a really quick count. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. This would be normally 16 pieces that they'd want you to cut out. And these 16, if they line up properly, they should be all just one piece. So that's a pretty drastic drop in pieces to have to seam together, because now they'll be seamless. Another thing I want to point out is that sometimes when you're jigsawing these pieces together and transposing them onto EVA, they will not line up. In other words, there'll be a gap. And that's because when it was designed to not be all one piece. It was designed to have the piece bend in a certain way that obviously EVA can bend in, but the paper won't allow that. So what I've kind of devised is cutting that in half. So see here if I can pull out the piece that I've done really quick right here. Hopefully we can see this good enough. Get this in the light. Okay, should be able to see my lines. This piece right here is this piece is one piece right here, and this is another piece. And there was a gap right here. And what I'll do is when I go to cut this line, I'll 50-50 it. I'll cut right in the middle of these two lines, and that should be able to close my gap without leaving a big space. And worst case scenario, this is the way I look at it. If it doesn't work out, then I can always just cut on this line and seam it together the way it was supposed to. But you don't. It's a win-win situation. If it works, great. If it doesn't, oh well. Cut on your lines and continue on. So, but for the most part, as you can see with this one right here, it's all lined up perfectly. So everything should end up exactly where I want it. That's another nice part about EVA is it's very, very forgiving as far as your angles. You can get away with a lot. A lot of times when I'm doing my cuts, I'm not really worried about my templates being perfectly straight. Whereas when I'm doing EVAkura with paper, oh, it's absolute. You have to make sure that your lines are straight. If you don't, it's going to show up right away. And if it doesn't show up right away, it's going to show up a couple of pieces later on. Everything gets off by 1 degree, 2 degrees. The next thing you know, when you're coming to seam up your helmet or whatever piece you're working on, it won't join up. You're bending the paper as much as you possibly can, it won't work. With EVA, it does bend. It gives you that forgiveness. So that's one of the wonderful things I love about it. Gives you a lot of room for error, I guess you can say, or too much coffee maybe, or in my case, not enough coffee. Okay, so initial cuts are made. Here's the big test. Will it work out? I do not know. Now, I do have one piece that goes in between here. I was kind of accounting for that. But you all should be more in tune to how the Master Chief works now. That part, I need to cut that one seam right there. I haven't cut that yet. But and all see it's all starting to join up just like it should. Now the only other thing that I need to do is cut my 45-degree angles in these pieces right here. This whole time I've had the camera up and not down. Brilliant! So let me go ahead and cut these lines in really quick. Fire up the glue gun. Now I'm sure what's going to happen is I'm going to get on the 405th later on. Everybody's going to be like, man, we couldn't post any questions and we couldn't hear him because his audio was turned off or something. Oh my gosh, so embarrassed. I just have to crawl into a cave and never be seen again. Or just go to making recorded videos, I guess. Okay. That piece and that piece. Here's where I'm going to break out my scalpel. Now, I probably should change blades here. Yeah, I'm going to have to. I guess if you guys do have any questions, if you could, post them on the 405th, or you could always instant message me, send me a private message, however you want to do it. I'd be more than happy to answer them. Once again, I apologize for the, for some reason, the chat not working. That's a rough cut. I'm not happy with that. Yeah, I just did what I told you not to do. Now, here's another thing. If you make a mistake with EVA, super glue. Let's see here. I had a needle. There it is. It's a great way to make a quick fix. I cannot believe I just did that. One side of my box cutter blade was dull. The other side was nice and sharp. When I transferred from the dull side to the sharp side, I went right through it. Oh, man. And And there we go. Good as new. Okay, so back to it again. Let's check that angle now. That'll seam up nicely. Okay. So far, I'm liking this new mat I just got today. This Fiskars mat. It's a lot better than the breadboard I was cutting, so I'm not doling out my blades nearly as quickly. And seems to give me more depth on my cuts. Usually I can make a cut straight through the very first time. It's pretty groovy. One last there. Oh, oh. It's kind of hard to do this and also keep you guys in tune to where position of the camera is at the same time. So this is all new to me. Usually when I do the recordings for the videos I've done, 25 takes is being generous. Okay, first angle glued. Another thing I've noticed also is I'm holding this further away from my body. Usually when I'm working like this. I'm this far away from it. It's not because I'm blind or anything. It's just because I get a better feel for it that way. So this doesn't work out perfectly. It's all your fault. Okay. Also, this is kind of a test for me too. Like I said before, I don't know if you guys were here for it all, but never tried it this way before. So this is new for me. I'm pretty confident. I've kind of gone over it in my mind so many times. Pretty confident it's going to work out the way I want it to. If not, I've got lots of EVA to go try again. For all of you in the United States, just so you know, WeSellMats.com. I found them through Amazon.com. They've got a sale on right now for their EVA mats, 48 square feet. That's 12. I think it's 12. 12. No, it's more than that. Anyways, they got a sale on their EVA. It's true 3/8 inch EVA, really good quality. Doesn't have any pock marks on the good side of your EVA foam, which unfortunately I went through this last vendor and that's exactly what I got. So starting to see it form up now. Nice curves. And I haven't even heat formed anything yet, so that's a bonus. Turn off that. Dropping pieces everywhere. Just so you guys know, I'm also doing this from an RV, and so my power situation isn't the greatest. If I lose the feed, that means I trip the breaker. One of the downsides of hot glue, man, that stuff is hot. Pretty much lost all the feeling in my thumb anyway, so I'm pretty good there. So there we go for the first corner. It's not really coming out perfectly the way I want it to. Like I said, I'm doing this kind of hurriedly. I'm not spending a lot of time on it, but you're getting an idea that it's all still one piece, all going together with very, very few seams. Yeah, if I wasn't worried about actual quality of the download, or upload, I should say, I'm streaming some music right now. Totally forgot about that. Tomorrow's so dang quiet. Ow! That's really hot. My pinkies, they haven't gone numb yet, so they still feel the glue. Now, also, one thing I've noticed is on backward seams, what I mean by that is when the angle doesn't go this way, it goes this way. Obviously, on the back side of your EVA, you're going to have the seam opening up. It still, you need to put hot glue in there and let it set, because that will retain that position better with the hot glue. And now my angles are definitely starting to come together now. Definitely appreciate all you who are here for tuning in. It definitely makes my day. I've been prepping for this for last couple days, really anticipating it, setting up my awesome studio. And as soon as this piece sets up really quick, what I want to do is take a, not a break, sort of say, but I want to show you guys the helmet that I made. Static pictures only do so much justice. When you actually get it in the video, things change a lot. So hold tight 1 second. Do something here I shouldn't be doing, but oh well. For any of you that are under the age of 18, don't ever pick this up, man. It's a horrible habit. Heck, for anybody, it doesn't matter if you're under 18 or not. Shoot. All right. That's what I got so far. I think I put 5 days into it. This is a knob off of a space heater that had stopped working, so I just used that, dremeled out this little bit in the center here. For these pull levers right here, I'm not sure if you can catch that. There you go. A little bit better. These guys right here, that's co-hanger, heavy gauge steel co-hanger there as well. And then having a little bit of issue with the LED lights, just because this switch I'm using and the wire, for some reason it's not functioning properly. But oh, there they are. But and only one side, of course. That's okay though, because I've already purchased all the new hardware for that. So I'm going to rewire the whole thing, and that way it'll be a lot better. I also made my own little battery holders here on the inside. I'm not sure if you can see that too well. Right back here, there's one, and then there's two, and then there's three on this side. They're okay. They're made of EVA foam, so they're soft. But I'm afraid that the batteries aren't going to hold that well, so I went out and bought single AA battery holders, and I'll be installing those inside here too. Hopefully, my buddy puts this on, he doesn't scrape the heck out of his bald head. So we'll see. Then I'll give you a video on the binary rifle, but that's about as good as you're really going to get as far as visual on it. I mean, I could always put it closer to the camera, but I'm going to end up in this small area here. I'm going to end up hitting the walls and everything else, so unfortunately that's where she's going to have to stay. The only thing I can do is turn on the blue LEDs on the inside, and this light inside here, the light box here turns on. I can give you a close-up of the MH6 with the slide action. I was great idea to put the spring in here to have it automatically, when you pull it back, it goes forward again. But I couldn't find a reliable way of doing it. without tearing the whole gun apart. And so I was just like, I'm just gonna have to suffer with the fact that just gonna have to do it that way. But I used, in case you missed it on my thread here on the 405th, I used 2 of the mechanisms from a slide phone, and that same slide phone is what I use for the scope on the binary rifle. And so the other thing I was thinking about doing was, instead of installing a soundboard in the binary rifle, there's a micro SD slot that I could have downloaded the sounds to and put into the micro SD slot on the camera and use that. But unfortunately, the downside to that would be as I'd have to, get into the scope and press the buttons and on the camera phone, on the phone, I mean, and it would have been way too much of a hassle just to get a sound to happen. So I bought the soundboard. I'll put it where the trigger is, so that way when you pull the trigger, you'll get the firing sound of the weapon. Just a neat little added benefit, I guess you can say. So let's see here. Go back to this. Now see how I got this bow right here? I'm not going to be too worried about that, because when I put the other piece there, it's all going to line back up and it's going to push it back out straight, and it shouldn't bow anywhere else past that point. It's just bowing because it's under stress from this right here, and there's nothing supporting it. So the only thing I'm really kind of concerned with is there's a little bit of a bow right in here from the stress. So, and once again, I will say this right off the bat. This is a new technique. I've not tried this before, and I'm kind of doing it under pressure in front of a camera and in front of 5 viewers. So if you're one of those 5, thank you very much. I'm not taking a lot of time with my cuts. I'm not taking a lot of time with gluing, not what I normally do. So this is more instructional for you guys, so you guys can see how I do things. And it is, I know it will work. I like I said, everything lines up when you put the pieces together and start doing, just bending it without, really doing anything to it. The pieces are going to line up. All you got to do is just cut your little cuts to make the angles line up properly this way, and they'll seam up beautifully. So I know this technique will work. I'm not concerned with that. The only thing I feel kind of bad about is that it's not coming out really nice looking. Oh wow, look at that, it's so perfect. But it is what it is. I can't change that fact now. Like I said, I've got plenty of EVA to redo this piece again. What I'm going to do, really quick here, is I'm going to flip over to the 405th really quick. If you guys have any questions, post them in my thread, and I'll get to it. I've already mentioned that once before. I'm going to check that out really quick, see if there's anything there. Hopefully there is. Like, wow, you suck because your sound doesn't work. But I mean, your chat doesn't work. But let me check that out really quick. I'll be right back with you guys. Channel settings, tabs. Man, this is frustrating. Oh, oh, okay, awesome. Great, yeah, thank you. You guys can see each other's chat, but I can't see your chat. That's weird. I wonder if I got rid of that. I do apologize for this, everybody. Really, I do. Let's try this. Okay, so that's interesting. It says I'm the only member of the video call, yet there's 5 viewers. So either I didn't set this up properly, or they're having some kind of an issue with it. Do apologize. Let me look at this really quick here and see if there is a chat option. Yeah, unfortunately, no. So I'm just gonna have to keep on doing this by myself. Um, Actually, what I'm gonna do, I'll be honest. I feel really bad about this because it's not working out properly. I will ask that you, if you want any information or have any questions about a technique or something like that. It seems like I have a lot better luck with pre-recording and posting them up on YouTube. I love doing this. I do it for you guys because I enjoy it so much, and I just want to kind of pass on some of that. So if you guys have any questions or want to see something in a tutorial, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to put it together. Generally, from when my track record is either that day or the next day, I'll have it up, and you guys can watch it then. So if I miss something or I'm not clear enough, let me know, because I'll definitely want to become better at this. So I'm going to go ahead and sign out and continue on, and I'll definitely give you guys an update on how this piece turned out, as well as the second piece I work on after this, the other side, and we can do a little bit of a comparison and see how it was I did online live and then on my own free time. So thanks a lot, guys, for tuning in, and I'll see if I can get this thing working later on. So take care, man. Peace out.